The GT3 series arrived at Fuji for the 6th round. In session 1, the race began with a couple of bumps causing a domino effect where 4 competitors were knocked off the course. Nova and 93 just escaped out in front, and the driver responsible for the first impact was issued a penalty. On lap 2, Max Bailey, Billocks and Bizzle were in a close battle for 6th, and Max gave Billocks a bit of a push in turn 1. Foul play? Maybe or maybe not, but Max was unable to complete the race anyway. JL, who had been a front runner before the first lap pile-up, quickly made up places through the midfield. Stuck behind Billocks, Bizzle started to make mistakes around the treacherous final sector, and recovering from a spin almost wiped out Thanatos. Soon he was dealing with backmarkers Mop and Kaladin, with Mop trying to make up for early bad luck. Out in front, Tiger Tom caught up with 93, and the two of them traded a little paint on the first corner. It was a similar story with Bailey and Judoka, the latter pushing a little too hard and conceding the position. Judoka would only get by when Bailey stopped to pit 2 laps later and inherited the lead. Making his own pit stop at the end of lap 8, the lead returned to Nova. Tiger Tom took a terrible tumble shortly after. He expertly recovered from the spin, but lost the hope of victory. Now in 3rd place, JL kept the pressure on against 93. Each driver took radically different lines through the Panasonic hairpin. JL had much better exit speed and was able to take 2nd and make it stick. On lap 17, 93 muscled his way past again, but it wasn't long before JL pulled off an amazing pass around the outside, something 93 wasn't able to answer. And so, by a margin of 16 seconds, Nova was the winner, with JL 2nd and 93 3rd. VLX locked out the front row of the grid for the 2nd group. P1 Playlister got a perfect start and moved up the inside. Felix made an effort to block his line, but Playlister used the pit lane to get alongside him. He went wide through the first corner though, and Felix nudged his way past. Starting 7th, Barrels quickly made his way up to 3rd place. Under pressure from Chewy, he lost a position just before making his first pit stop. A few laps later, he was pursued by DJ. After burning off a penalty, he was in danger of being overtaken, but DJ went too wide. A duel between Yuma and Marino escalated, each bumping the other a little, and Marino taking very wide lines. The Portuguese driver stayed right on Yuma's tail, filling his mirrors, and it wasn't long before Yuma made a mistake, and for a moment lost control of his car. And a 3rd duel was going on between Jagged and Phantom Zero. It was a straightforward chase until Zero went a little too wide into the 13th corner. The curbs unsettled the car, and he went spinning helplessly into the runoff area. Toward the end of the race, DJ and Chewy were fighting for 2nd. Chewy performed a textbook slipstream overtake into the first corner and secured the position for himself, with DJ finishing 3rd and Felix taking another victory. There was a slightly messy start to this group, with a few cars bumping into each other in the first corner. Here there was only one serious casualty, Edin Crivel. His teammate Ismadilek, who had to start at the back of the grid, came on very strong in the first few laps. First passing the renegade trio of Nunu, Tony and Wholesale, and then Little Mac. By lap 5, he found himself in a 4-way battle for 4th. Binary Theory and Fullness got a little preoccupied with their own duel and overshot the first corner, and this is where Ismadilek seized the opportunity to pounce, taking one and then the other. At the back, Nunu and Edin were having a duel of their own, but after Nunu got past, Edin seemed to use a pit manoeuvre to send Nunu into a spin. Following the first round of pit stops, Binary Theory was in the middle of renegade duo Tony and Wholesale, but Tony was taking the scenic route around the tarmac runoff, and a couple of turns later, Wholesale followed suit. They barely held off Mr. Person, who was coming up behind them. Dawson, running in 2nd place on lap 17, encountered problems, and to his frustration, dropped out of the race with an easy 16 points in sight. Still just ahead of Wholesale and Mr. Person, Tony lost control at Dunlop Corner. Does every circuit have a Dunlop corner? It's odd. Anyway, it provided Mr. Person with just the kind of moment of distraction he could use to set up for a pass on Wholesale. Out in front, literally a mile ahead of the rest, Def Sun was the winner, representing the newly formed Phoenix team. Ismadilik took a well-earned second place, with X11 finishing third. It was a horrendous start for pole-sitter Darkrai, the artist formerly known as Cooper, who found himself down to fourth, and FW took a wide line around the first corner before the rest of the pack crammed itself in. A few knocks, and Valence had to cut across the grass to escape the chaos. With FW out in front, Ethan, Vitman and Darkrai were in a close fight for second. Darkrai just managed to squeeze past Vitman, and on the approach to Dunlop, Vitman and Daniel both pulled out to try for a pass, but in doing so, bumped into each other, and Vitman paid for it dearly. At the same time, Ethan was losing ground quickly. He came out of the following sequence of corners fourth, and was now simultaneously trying to find a way back past Daniel and fending off Fernando and Oyu. All this was helping FW to expand his lead. After the first round of pit stops, he and Darkrai were out of sight of the rest. Fernando, Oyu and Ethan were in a world of their own for now, and they wove smoothly through the twisting turns and down the home straight. Ethan took a tight line through 100R, tight enough to go around the hairpin side by side with Oyu. He overtook and very nearly lost control with two wheels on the grass, but it was enough. FW carried a little too much speed around the Coca-Cola kink and incurred a penalty. His having to pay it off in short order gave Darkrai just the chance he needed to steal first place, and FW was unable to take it back. Ethan hammered the throttle out of nets and careened wildly onto the banked runoff, losing third place to Fernando. In the latter stages of the race, Fernando and Ethan encountered series newcomer Drunk Ninja, who nervously skidded off the course. Ethan took full advantage of the situation and was able to hold the persistent Fernando at bay, thus securing a spot on the podium, along with FW and race winner Darkrai. As you can see, it's been a very good weekend for VLX and for Phoenix. We've also got very good results elsewhere. Barrels putting in Renegade's best ever finish, and Kinetic Racing there putting in some lovely results as well. For the championship, it looks like VLX continues to maintain its lead on the standings. They are first and second, and you've also got Darkrai and Judoka, and VLX again with Chewy in the top 5. A good mix of teams in Division 2, and lots of people in striking distance of each other for the lower divisions. Now, for those of you who've ever wanted to live out the experience of being a slightly less brainy version of Ross Brawn, stick around and check out this little video about Formula XD. Hey kids, do you like bossing people around? Flying all over the world? Meeting pretty girls? Well, you can pretend to do all of those things with Formula XD, a strategy game, what I made myself, about directing your own racing team. Going all over the place, building cars, getting contracts with sponsors and goodness knows what, dealing with all kinds of things like weather, stray animals, terrorism, you name it. Well, it's on Steam and also on itch, and I'm working on an update for it, so it's going to become even better fairly soon. The only question is, can you manage?